I'm fishing a protected corner in a nor'easter. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything that I'm doing. I'll show you my rigs, my baits, what rods and reels I'm using, and just explain everything that I'm thinking while I'm fishing. I'm so pumped to be back down at the beach. I'm always thinking about it. I love eating fish and I love catching fish. If you're enjoying these videos, please make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give me a thumbs up if it's helping your fishing. Let's get into it. I've popped down to this spot. I didn't have the opportunity to actually come down today and have a look at it, but getting down here, it's just absolutely loaded with weed. It's a beautiful protected corner, especially when you've got a north wind, and I was confident that I'd catch some lovely fish here this afternoon, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull a few worms, because I need a few, and I'm actually going to hop back in the car and go to a different spot because it'll be really annoying trying to fish in amongst all that weed. So I'm going to go and grab a bit of bait and then quickly jump in the car and move to another place. So this is good. I haven't wormed here for a little while, but pretty much straight away there's some worms here, so it shouldn't take too long to get a few for bait. So that's a beautiful bait size worm, just perfect for bream and whiting, or really for anything. So here's the first one that I saw, and I saw another one there as well. Just got to wait for this little wave to wash up. I think this guy's fairly large, this worm. Yeah, he's a good sized worm. He's a ripper. I'm not going to grab him, I'll just grab him now. Right, need two hands to pull him out. He's a little bit thicker, that guy, look at him. You can see where I've grabbed him actually with my fingers. You can see how much of his head is sticking up above my fingers and where I'm actually holding him. See his little whiskers moving around. What a classic. These are an amazing creature. What an incredible creature worms are. They just blow my mind. They really do, and they're amazing bait. So I'll whack him in the skyrocket or the bait bag. Okay. It's a very enjoyable thing to do in the afternoon, beautiful sunny afternoon. And there's always the anticipation of those wonderful fish that you're going to catch with the worms. Another delicious bait. Well, not delicious for me. Never tried eating beach worms. Maybe one day. Okay. Well, that'll be the last one. Actually, I've really only wormed about a 10-metre stretch of this beach. There's worms everywhere, which is always exciting when you see there's heaps of worms. Honestly, they'd be countless. There must be millions and millions of them. So now I'm just going to give these a little roll in the sand, a bit like breadcrumbing them, you know, so that you can grab them when you go to put them on your hook, because you just can't, they're too slippery otherwise. So I'm just going to tip these out. So really, that was about 10 minutes of worming worth. So I'm just going to coat them in a bit of sand. I'm going to whack a bit in the bottom of my bait bucket. Look at all these guys wriggling around here. You know, very often, certainly when the weather's not too hot, just by putting a bit of sand here and getting them in the sand like that, just see, did I leave any behind? No. Then I put a bit of sand on top. That's all you really need to do. You know, these will keep for a good 2 days like that in a cool spot. And most oftentimes in summer when you're fishing, you'll use them up in that time anyway. So now we're going to move on to spot number 2. I'm pretty confident it'll be good. But yeah, it's just way too much weed in this location. So I'm at my plan B spot, It's a very similar aspect to the spot that I was at just a little while ago. I was going to fish a little bit more in the corner, but I can see there's a nice little gutter close to shore here, and as the tide comes in, it's going to fill up nicely. There's a guy kite surfing, a couple of windsurfers, but I've found in the past I often catch fish even though there's people there, so I'm not so concerned about that. So I'm going to start having a fish first. I'm going to whack a worm bait out in there into this little gutter and see what's biting. But it's a great time of the afternoon. It's actually 6 o'clock, a couple of hours before dark, and the tide's on the way in. So I'm going to whack a bit of that lovely fresh worm on. I do have some pilchards with me also, that I want to have a fish with the pilchards later too, but very pleasant afternoon. So I'm putting on a couple of worm baits. I've got a sinker with a worm bait underneath it, and then I have another one about 2.5 feet up the line. And I've used the first half of the worm on my first bait. Now I'm using the second half of the worm. I'm placing that on my top hook. I'm going to put a generous amount of worm on, which is what I always like to do. I'm going to pull the worm up over the eye of the hook. So once I've got it fully on the hook, I then pull it up onto the line. You need to use 2 hands to do this. So you can see I'm feeding it on down the bottom and I'm pulling it up here. And really that's an amazing piece of worm, but I'm going to leave that little tag on there. I mean, that would have to be very attractive to any hungry fish out there. So now, this will be my first cast. Be interesting to see how long it takes to get a bite. I got down here and I left my hat in the car. But thankfully it's late in the afternoon, so I'm always got to be aware because I don't have as much hair as I used to. Got to look after my scalp. These windsurfers are taking off just here. I'd like to cast into that white water where they are, but I'm going to go a little bit to the left because I kind of don't want to get in their way. But I think there should be fish out there anyway. I really would like to fish the edge of that little bar there, and I can see there's a bit of current out there. Okay, so I think that landed in a pretty good spot. We'll see if there's any whiting or brim there. Now, even though the surf is not big, there's definitely a current going from my right to my left. It doesn't look too strong though. At the moment, I'm holding position. So I had a bite then, but I missed it. And you can see my top hook is empty. No bait. All of that lovely big piece of worm that I put on, the whole lot's gone. So, yeah, interesting. I waited while I was having a bit of a munch. What I noticed before when I got the bite was my line went slack. And that happens often when you can't feel your sinker on the end and your line goes slack. Often, instead of a fish running away from you, the fish will pick up the bait and run towards you. So that's a good thing often when you get slack line, you think, oh, okay. So you just wind up that slack line and then wait to see if you're getting a bite. Yeah, I'm getting a bite. Yeah, something's going on. It's swimming towards me again. This time, yep, got him. He swam towards me again. So that was exactly the same thing. This fish was actually biting it and swimming towards the shore. I didn't cast that far out, so he won't be far away just now. Okay, so it's a whiting. This whiting's taken the top hook, and he's just a fraction small, so he'll be going back. But I think that's probably what's biting out there. I can put on another worm and chuck it back out again. Oh, hook got me. Okay, so I'm getting a bite now. It's quite rapid. Just going to see if I can let this fish take it. Am I still getting a bite? Yep, still getting a bite. was getting lots of bites in. Maybe they've nicked my bait. Felt like whiting. They might have stolen my bait. I was just waiting for the right moment to set the hook. I think I need to pull my line in. I'm not sure, I might have something on there, I'm not sure. It was a bit stuck on the bottom. No, I haven't got anything. Sometimes those star sinkers get pretty wedged in the sand, which is, I guess that's their purpose. I landed right on top of that sandbar then. So a couple of metres up onto the sandbar. So I just want to let it wash over the edge. That's not where my last bait was. My last bait was more out in the middle of this open water. But the current is going that way. The rod that I'm using is really just kind of like a relatively light beach rod. It's kind of my mid-range rod because I have a rod that's even smaller and lighter than this. But this one's 10 feet long and it's rated 4 to 7 kilos. It's a great little rod, it's fantastic. I've landed a lot of decent fish on it, but it's actually super light, it's not heavy. So it's very pleasant to fish with something that's not too heavy. I'm using 15-pound monofilament line on this reel. And I have a fluorocarbon leader that's 12 pounds, so slightly lighter, because I'm mainly fishing for whiting and brim. This cast, I cast my line up onto the sandbar and just pulled it off the edge, but I haven't had any bites this cast. My previous two casts, I were more out in the middle, so I'm going to pull it in and chuck it back out where I got the bites before. Just had to let my friend with the kite surfer get out the back. A lot of people have been telling me that these are actually good to eat. I've never tried eating a stingray before. These are obviously only small ones, but apparently you eat the flaps. It's supposed to be pretty good. The question is, will I take one home and try it? Looks like he swallowed that worm bait. I just wanted to do a little flick then. Didn't want to cast that out very far at all. Just flicking it into this little trough. Oh, did I hook him or not? Yeah, I hooked him. Okay, it was a little bit bigger bite then. No, I didn't hook him actually, I thought I did. Both of my baits have been hammered a bit. I don't think they're very big fish. I'll put some new worm baits on. So there's a few small ones out there. I'm just hoping some big ones will come in, which I'm sure they will. Well, I missed that last bite. I did my best, but I missed it. Perhaps I should have been a bit more patient and waited a bit longer. I'm getting a bite. Will I get it this time? I'm not sure. Oh, come on. Just waiting. It's coming towards me again. Wow, it's swimming towards me a lot. Those small whiting are difficult to hook. I think that's what it is. I'm waiting because I've got two baits. So there's still a chance I might get more bites and hook a fish. Yeah, it's just another bite just then. I'm hooked up, definitely got this guy. Wow, I really had to be patient that time. Hope I've still got him. No, haven't. Wow, can you believe that? I actually felt I had that fish on. Look at that. See, my top hook's got no bait. And my bottom hook has got almost no bait as well. Nearly took the whole lot. Wow. I don't think they can be all that big, actually. Well, we'll try again. Well, the tide's starting to come in, so I think that is always a good thing, always promising. The water's getting a little bit deeper. And the sun is getting low, which is great. Thought I'd cast out a little bit further then, and the sun is just disappearing behind the hill, which is always a great time to fish. You're always standing here with anticipation. In changing from my first location, my thought was to tuck up right in the corner of this beach. There's a bit of a reef over there, there's a rocky outcrop, and I would like to fish along the edge of the rocks at the end of the beach, which I quite often do. But it's just not really set up for that today with the tide coming in. The water is too deep, close to the edge, and there's no white water, there's no action out there. It's relatively boring. So I opted to fish in this little trough just here, which heads out. It's got quite a deep opening to it. But so far it's just been small fish that have been biting. You can see there's certainly plenty of deep water here. There's a sandbar to my right, just a little bit of a trough just here. There's a current that is going from the right to the left. It kind of sucks right out there, all of the water from the waves breaking. I just saw a little fish jump out of the water. Actually landed on the rocks then. I had to pull it off. I wasn't getting any bites just up there. So even though it looks a little bit calm down the end here, I've just thought I'll come up and have a walk up here and have a cast, because you don't know until you try. And really that's what you've got to do all the time, is test. But it's not boring, it makes it fun, you know. Well, I had a couple of casts just there. Didn't actually get a single bite. But you don't know till you try, so I'm going back to where I first started fishing, where I was getting lots of bites, but small ones. And we'll see if it's any different now with the tide having come in a little bit. But, you know, it's always interesting. Sometimes, as you know, you catch heaps of fish. Other times it's a little bit more challenging. Yeah, it was a very interesting bite, that. I'm not quite sure, that was a very strange bite. Probably felt more like a stingray bite, actually. It might not be a stingray, though. It just kind of leaned into it. What's going on? It's like it's stuck to the bottom. It's probably is a stingray, but we'll see. Yep. Oh, can you believe it? What is that? Double stingray. I think that's a first for me. Oh well. One. Two little stingrays. So I'm going to let these guys go. I've been using worms and obviously they like the worms tonight. So I think I'll switch over to a pilchard to try and avoid the stingrays. I brought this line down. It's rigged up from a previous session, just with a couple of little ball sinkers, a short leader and a ganged hook. So I'm going to whack a pilchard on here. So I'm going to put the first hook in, swing it around, put the second hook in, and then the last hook straight through the eye. That's a nice tough part of the fish to hold it on, and we'll try something different. Now there's a fair bit of current out there and I've only got a couple of tiny ball sinkers. So this pilchard's going to waft along in the current. I won't be able to hold the bottom. I mean, I'm just using this rig because I've got it ready to go. But that's not a bad thing, it'll look pretty natural. What a beautiful evening. I don't know about you, but I always get hungry when I'm fishing. And I always stand here and I think, what am I going to have for dinner when I get home? Will I have a big steak? Or will I buy some takeaway Thai or something on the way? I always spend this quiet time while I'm waiting for a bite just thinking, what delicious food am I going to be eating? Well, I put my first cast out with this pilchard. It didn't drift too fast. I cast it out straight. It drifted across, but I didn't get a touch. I've still got all my bait, so I'm going to chuck it back out again. I think I'll chuck it up onto the sandbar. And then let it drift off the edge. Just walking out a little bit. So I landed right up on that sandbar then. In the shallow water, it's probably only 2 foot deep, but it should drift off the shallow water into the deep, so the hope is that something is waiting for some goodies to wash off the sandbar. And my pilchard will just sail through. Yeah, I got a bite on the pilchard and I have a fish. Yay! Yoo-hoo! It's actually gone right down the beach. I need to keep pressure on it because I think it's a tailor. I think, although it could be a salmon. Here it comes. Bring him up pretty quick. Yep, it's one of our resident salmon. Salmon love worms, but I hadn't had a bite using worm. But this guy obviously liked the pilchard. And you can see the ganged hooks here. You've got the 3 hooks. There's one just there. And one hook is, it's got to hold on to him tight. It's very strong. Actually, the hook just fell out. I think I might let this guy go. Even though I don't have any fish at home. Oops. So my first pilchard bait caught that salmon. I let him go. I was tempted to keep him, but I let him go. Anyway, we'll see what happens this cast. Alrighty. That's sailing out there quite nicely. I don't have very heavy sinkers on there, but it's going out quite a long way. I only just re-spooled this reel. It's important to have enough line on your reel, because when you don't have your spool filled properly, it really does impact your ability to cast. And you know, casting is one of the great pleasures of fishing. Being able to cast well, being able to cast accurately, being able to cast a long distance. It's very pleasurable. I think probably golfers might understand when you play golf and you've got a great swing and you get a really good shot. There's a lot of enjoyment in that. And it's a bit like that when you're casting, putting in a good cast. I had a bite, but I missed it. May have been a tailor, but I missed it. So I'm going to whack another pilchard on. My bait's gone. So, empty hooks. Yeah, I've got the fish, that's for sure. It's probably a tailor, I think. Although, yeah, maybe, or a salmon. It's not far out. My drag is going a little bit. This time it's quite a good sized tailor actually. Look at that guy go. That tailor has got a lot of energy. He's quite a nice sized tailor. You can see the set of 3 hooks. The last hook's got him right in the jaw there. These are actually very nice smoked. They've got razor sharp teeth. These are very popular in Australia to eat, especially in Western Australia. They love their tailor over in WA. And normally this is the time that they bite. Right on dark is the best time to catch them. So I've had a couple of casts. I've used 2 pilchards. My first cast, I caught a nice sized salmon, which I let go. My second cast, I've caught this tailor, which is a good size as well. I'm going to let him go as well. So I'm actually not going to take any fish home with me, because I caught a small whiting and 2 stingrays. Had lots of bites from pretty small whiting, obviously, which I didn't hook. But it's been an awesome time. Such a beautiful afternoon, and the moon is coming up behind me. Cracking night, actually. I think the full moon is in about 2 nights from now. So thank you so much for watching. I trust you've enjoyed the video, and I'll let him go. I'll see you soon in the next video.